The secret law of power: be the wolf among sheep. What if I told you that everything you've been taught about how to succeed, how to fit in, how to be good, is subtly designed to make you weak? That beneath the surface of society's rules, its politeness, its institutions, there exists a hidden law, one that separates the powerful from the powerless, the wolves from the sheep. And the most dangerous thing? Almost no one talks about it, not because it's false, but because it's too true. Because if everyone knew it, the system would break. That law is this: if you want real power in this world, you cannot think like the herd. You must think like the predator who walks beside it, unnoticed until it's too late. You must be the wolf among sheep. From the moment we're born, we're taught to be agreeable, to obey, to keep our heads down, follow the crowd, be polite, and never ask too many questions. Why? Because that makes us easier to manage. It's not a conspiracy, it's conditioning. The modern world runs on mass compliance, not individual power. But here's the paradox. The very thing that makes you good in the eyes of the system is what makes you invisible in the eyes of power. The sheep are rewarded with comfort, yes, but they are never given control. The wolf, on the other hand, he lives by different rules. He sees the game for what it is, and more importantly, he's not afraid to play it. Now, let's be clear. Being the wolf doesn't mean being cruel or evil or heartless. That's the cartoon version. The real wolf is strategic, calm, à war. He doesn't waste energy on petty dominance. He doesn't bark. He watches. He waits. He understands something the others don't. That in a world where most people are reactive, emotional, and easily distracted, the one who can remain centered, focused, and free from illusion holds the real power. The wolf doesn't need permission to move. He moves when it's time. He strikes when it matters. And that's what makes him unstoppable.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound insights.
But if that's true, why do so few become wolves? Why do most people, even those with intelligence, stay sheep? The answer is fear. Because to become a wolf, you must first be willing to leave the safety of the herd, and that's terrifying. The herd gives you identity. It gives you comfort, applause, a sense of belonging. To step away from that is to walk into the unknown. It means being misunderstood. It means being alone. And for most people, that price is too high. But here's the twist. The very pain you fear is the path to freedom. Schopenhauer once said, "A man can be himself only so long as he is alone, and if he does not love solitude, he will not love freedom, for it is only when he is alone that he is really free." That's not just philosophy, it's strategy. The wolf becomes strong in solitude. While the sheep seek validation, the wolf builds vision. While the herd chases comfort, the wolf sharpens clarity. So let me ask you something. When was the last time you made a decision only because it was true to you, not because it was popular or expected or safe? When was the last time you said no, not to be difficult, but because your soul refused to say yes? That resistance, that refusal to conform, is the seed of the wolf inside you. But it's not enough to resist. You must evolve. You must train your mind to see what others ignore. You must develop what I call philosophical aggression, a deep, calm, surgical awareness of the world's illusions and the courage to slice through them. And this is where most people fail. They get stuck in the halfway point. They wake up just enough to see the game, but not enough to play it. They become bitter, cynical, passive. They become wolves in spirit, but sheep in behavior. Don't let that be you. Awakening is not the end. It's the beginning. Once you see the illusion, you must act. You must learn how to move in silence, how to observe without reacting, how to strike without warning, and most importantly, how to build a life that is yours, not one inherited from the herd. This isn't about domination. It's about liberation. The wolf doesn't want to rule the sheep. He just refuses to become one. And that refusal is the source of his power, because once you stop needing the herd's approval, once you stop fearing its rejection, you become untouchable. You move through the world with a different posture. People sense it. They don't know what it is, but they feel it. It's not arrogance. It's not ego. It's alignment. You are no longer playing someone else's game. You're playing your own. And the beauty of this path, it doesn't require fame or wealth or followers. It only requires the courage to see clearly and act accordingly. Most people will never do this. They will live and die as sheep, never knowing they had another option. But you, if you're still watching, you've already begun to wake up. The question is, what will you do now? Mastering the inner arena, how self-dominion builds unshakable power. If being the wolf among sheep is the outer law of power, and self-dominion is the inner law, the one most people ignore because it's not glamorous. There are no trophies for mastering yourself. No one applauds you when you choose discipline over indulgence, silence over reaction, or solitude over chaos. But this is where true power begins, not in how you control others, but in how you control yourself. Because in the end, the battlefield isn't out there, it's in here. The most dangerous opponent you'll ever face is not the world. It's your own untrained mind. We've been raised to focus on the external: money, status, attention, control. But all of that is meaningless if you haven't first won the war within. Think about it. What use is influence if you're ruled by insecurity? What use is status if your emotions control your decisions? The sheep are not just those who follow the crowd, they are those who are slaves to their own impulses. Anger, fear, lust, comparison, ego, these are the invisible chains that bind the many. And the wolf, he breaks them, not by force, but by mastery. This is why I say, before you build your empire, build your inner kingdom. You don't need to conquer nations, you need to conquer your cravings. You don't need to be louder, you need to be clearer. The wolf is not obsessed with domination. He's obsessed with precision. He doesn't lash out. He calculates. He doesn't get emotional, he gets still. And that stillness is not weakness. It's the highest form of strength. Because when you can remain calm in chaos, focused under pressure, and true to your principles when temptation screams at you to betray them, that is when you become untouchable. But here's the catch. This kind of self-mastery is boring. It's not flashy. It's not fun. It's not what you see on social media. It happens in silence, in the dark, when no one is watching. It's the discipline to wake up early when your body screams for sleep. It's the restraint to walk away from drama when your ego wants to fight. It's the courage to sit with discomfort when distraction is one click away. This is why so few choose the path of the wolf, because it requires more than insight. It demands sacrifice. Ask yourself this: can you sit in silence without needing noise? Can you delay gratification long enough to build something meaningful? Can you observe your own mind with enough honesty to admit where you're weak, where you're lying to yourself, where you're still a slave to comfort or fear? Most people can't. And that's why they stay sheep, not because they're not smart, but because they never took control of the machinery of their own mind. Schopenhauer wrote that a man's happiness depends far more on what he is than on what he has. That's not just poetic, it's strategic. Your mind is your most valuable territory. Guard it, train it. Refuse to let it be hijacked by every passing trend, opinion, or fear. Because the one who has mastered himself cannot be manipulated. He's immune to external chaos because he's already faced the storm within. That's the secret the world doesn't teach. It wants you busy, distracted, emotional, because then you're easy to sell to, easy to scare, easy to steer. But when you become inwardly sovereign, you become dangerous, not violent, not reckless, but unshakable. Now let me ask you something that might sting. Who's really in control of you? Is it your goals or your habits? Your vision or your cravings? Your higher self or your emotional reactions? If your answer isn't crystal clear, then you're not fully sovereign. And that's okay, most people aren't. But the wolf doesn't settle for most people. He doesn't aim to be average. He aims to be aligned. And alignment is earned, not given. It's built through daily, often invisible choices. You win the inner arena not by massive, heroic acts, but by mastering the small moments. The moment you choose focus over distraction. The moment you choose truth over comfort. The moment you choose to respond instead of react. This is the root of power, not appearance, not applause, alignment. When your thoughts, actions, and values move in unison, you become a force of nature. You no longer chase energy, you generate it. You no longer seek validation, you embody clarity. And from that clarity comes an authority that cannot be faked, borrowed, or bought. It must be earned. So while the world trains you to conquer others, I challenge you to conquer yourself. Because once you do, no one, not a boss, a critic, a system, or even your past can take that from you. You become your own foundation. And that is the beginning of unshakable power. Playing the long game, why wolves build while sheep sleep. Power isn't found in the momentary flashes that catch attention. It's forged in long, invisible stretches of time where no one is watching, no one is cheering, and no rewards seem guaranteed. This is where the sheep fall asleep. They live for the next hit of dopamine, the next approval, the next trend. They chase what's immediate. They scroll, react, consume. Their sense of time is shallow, measured in hours, not years. But the wolf, he moves differently. He plays the long game. He delays gratification, endures boredom, embraces solitude, and makes decisions whose rewards may not come for months, even years. And that's why he ultimately wins. Because while the sheep are busy chasing novelty, the wolf is building legacy. Think about it. How many people do you know who start things but never finish? Who talk big but produce nothing? Who jump from idea to idea, relationship to relationship, goal to goal, always chasing but never building? That's the signature of the reactive mind. It's addicted to the short term. But real power is never short term. It's compound. It's exponential. It's the result of consistency, not intensity. Anyone can sprint for a week, but can you walk with discipline for a decade? That's the test, and very few pass it. The long game requires a completely different mindset. You have to stop thinking like a consumer and start thinking like a creator. It means being willing to be misunderstood for years while you build something others can't even see yet. It means sacrificing applause today for authority tomorrow. It means doing the deep, unsexy work while others are busy chasing distractions. The sheep crave recognition. The wolf craves results. And results often come in silence. This is where the philosophy becomes practical. Every decision you make, what you eat, how you spend your time, who you surround yourself with is either aligned with the long game or it's not. There's no neutral ground. You're either building or decaying. You're either moving toward vision or away from it. The wolf understands this. He doesn't waste energy on things that don't scale. He doesn't compromise his future for comfort in the present. He's not in a rush because he's not reacting, he's engineering. Every move is intentional, and that's what makes it powerful. But let me ask you something deep. What are you building that will outlive your moods, your fears, your need for validation? What structure are you committed to even when it's hard, even when it's boring, even when no one believes in it but you? If you can't answer that, you're not playing the long game, you're just surviving the short one. And survival is not power. Wolves aren't here to survive. They're here to dominate with purpose. There's an ancient principle that says, "He who chases two rabbits catches none." The sheep try to chase everything, every opportunity, every shiny object, every social cue. They live in reaction. But the wolf picks one target, locks on, and doesn't stop until it's his. That's focus. That's discipline. That's long-term thinking. And that's the formula that turns ordinary men into forces of nature. Of course, the long game is lonely. You won't get constant encouragement. You won't always feel motivated. You'll question yourself. People will doubt you. But that's the cost of building something real. And if you can stomach that cost, if you can keep walking when others quit, keep working when others sleep, keep building when others mock, you'll arrive at a place they'll never reach. Not because you're better, but because you were braver. Brave enough to be patient in a world that worships speed. Brave enough to be still in a world that chases noise. Brave enough to plant seeds in silence, knowing that one day the forest will speak for you. And when it does, when the structure you built in private begins to show in public, the sheep will call you lucky. They'll say, "You changed." No, you evolved. Quietly, relentlessly, strategically. And the irony is this: by the time they notice, it's already too late. You don't need their recognition. You've already won. The final shift, becoming the predator of your own potential. There comes a moment quiet, almost invisible, when a person decides who they will be for the rest of their life. Not because of what they say, but because of what they refuse to tolerate anymore. It's the moment the wolf fully emerges, not just as an idea, not as a metaphor, but as a living reality. This final shift is not about dominating others. It's about hunting down every part of yourself that still plays small, still hesitates, still waits for permission. It's about becoming the predator of your own potential, relentlessly seeking out the weaknesses you've coddled for too long and eliminating them without mercy. Most people never make this shift. They live their entire lives negotiating with mediocrity. They say things like, "Maybe next year," or "I'm just not that kind of person," or "This is just who I am." But the wolf doesn't speak like that. He doesn't justify his limitations. He starves them. He doesn't wait for the perfect moment. He creates it. He understands something the sheep never will: that the greatest threat to your future is not failure, it's hesitation. It's the subtle, silent decay of your potential while you're busy making excuses. This is where it gets personal, because at this point, philosophy becomes a mirror. You can no longer hide behind abstract ideas or clever words. You have to look at your life, your habits, your thoughts, your environment. Are they aligned with the person you say you want to become? If not, why are you still attached to them? Who would you be if you stopped coddling your fears? If you stopped negotiating with your dreams? If you stopped giving your energy to things that drain you and started channeling it like a laser? Becoming the predator of your potential means you no longer wait to feel ready. You move, you strike, you take the shot, not recklessly but without apology. It means you wake up and hunt your goals, not with desperation but with controlled ferocity. It means you stop fantasizing about someday and start executing today. It means you hold yourself to a higher standard, not because someone is watching, but because you are. And you refuse to live another day as a diluted version of yourself. The final shift, becoming the predator of your own potential. There comes a moment quiet, almost invisible, when a person decides who they will be for the rest of their life. Not because of what they say, but because of what they refuse to tolerate anymore. It's the moment the wolf fully emerges, not just as an idea, not as a metaphor, but as a living reality. This final shift is not about dominating others. It's about hunting down every part of yourself that still plays small, still hesitates, still waits for permission. It's about becoming the predator of your own potential, relentlessly seeking out the weaknesses you've coddled for too long and eliminating them without mercy. Most people never make this shift. They live their entire lives negotiating with mediocrity. They say things like, maybe next year, or I'm just not that kind of person, or this is just who I am. But the wolf doesn't speak like that. He doesn't justify his limitations. He starves them. He doesn't wait for the perfect moment. He creates it. He understands something the sheep never will, that the greatest threat to your future is not failure, it's hesitation. It's the subtle, silent decay of your potential while you're busy making excuses. Because the truth is, the world doesn't need more sheep. It doesn't need more passive, distracted people waiting for life to hand them something. It needs wolves, clear, focused, sovereign beings who know what they want and are willing to do the work in silence without applause until reality reflects their vision. That's what this has been about all along. Not just power in the world, but power over yourself. That's the secret law. That's the unspoken code. And once you live by it, everything changes. So don't just think like the wolf. Don't just talk like the wolf. Be the wolf. And let the world feel the quiet terror of your potential fully awakened.